Level 1. The invisible contract. Nobody ever told you the rules. They just expected you to follow them. Daniel didn't sign anything. No paper. No agreement. No moment where someone sat him down and said, "This is how your life is going to work." It was already decided. You go to school, you learn just enough to pass, just enough to fit, not enough to question anything. You sit in rows. You raise your hand. You ask for permission. Not to succeed, to speak. That's where it starts. Not with money, with obedience. Because before you ever earn your first dollar, you learn how to trade something more valuable. Your time, your attention, your ability to think for yourself. And it feels normal because everyone around you is doing the same thing. Same system, same structure, same path. Nobody stops and asks why. Because the system doesn't need you to understand it. It just needs you to follow it. So you move forward, year after year, grade after grade, always preparing for something. A test, a result, a future that never quite arrives. And then one day, it shifts. You're not preparing anymore. Now you're performing. A yob, a schedule, a fixed number attached to your time. You show up. You do what's expected. You leave. And in exchange, you get paid. It feels like progress. It feels like adulthood. But if you look closely, it's the same system, just upgraded. You're still asking for permission, still trading hours, still following rules you didn't create. Only now, the stakes are higher because now you have bills, rent, food, responsibility, things that lock you in place, things that make leaving feel risky. And risk is something you were trained to avoid. So you stay, not because you love it, because it works, because it's safe, because it's predictable. And that predictability becomes a cage you can't see and invisibly contract. You give your time, they give you money. And as long as that exchange continues, everything feels stable. But something doesn't sit right. Not immediately, not loudly, just a quiet feeling that no matter how hard you work, nothing actually changes. You're moving, but not forward. And that's the part nobody explains. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, keeping you busy, keeping you dependent, keeping you just comfortable enough to never question it, until one day a thought slips in, uninvited, uncomfortable, impossible to ignore. What if this was never meant to make me free? Level 2, the first crack. The system doesn't break all at once. It doesn't collapse. It doesn't announce itself. It just cracks quietly. Daniel didn't notice it immediately. At first, it was just a feeling, something slightly off, like everything around him was working, but not in the way it was supposed to. He couldn't explain it, which made it harder to ignore. Because when something feels wrong, but you can't name it, it stays with you. It follows you into work, into conversations, into the quiet moments in between. It starts small. You hear someone talk about money differently. Not hours, not salaries, ownership, assets, leverage. Words you've heard before, but never really understood. They don't fit the model you've been living in, so your mind rejects them. That's not realistic. That's risky. That's not for people like me. And for a moment, that's enough. You move on, back to routine, back to normal. But something lingers. Because deep down, you didn't reject it because it was wrong. You rejected it because it didn't fit what you believed. And that belief is starting to crack. Daniel begins to notice patterns. The same people showing up every day, but never getting ahead. The same conversations repeating. Just a few more years. After this, it'll get easier. But it never does. It just becomes familiar. And familiarity can feel like progress, even when nothing is changing. That's when the question comes back. Stronger. If this is the right path, why does it feel like a loop? And once that question is there, everything looks different. Work doesn't feel heavier, just clearer. You start to see the exchange. Time for money, hours for survival. And the limit becomes obvious. There are only so many hours, which means there's a ceiling, a fixed one. No matter how hard you work, that realization is uncomfortable because it means something you've relied on your whole life. might not be enough. Daniel doesn't say anything. Not yet. Because he already knows how it sounds. Don't overthink it. Be grateful. That word again. Grateful. It starts to feel less like advice and more like a boundary. Stay where you are. Don't question it. But it's too late. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. And now, for the first time, Daniel isn't just inside the system. He's aware of it. Level 3. The attempt. You don't leave the system. That's the first thing people get wrong. There's no dramatic exit. No moment where Daniel walks away and everything changes. He still shows up. Same job. Same hours. Same routine. But something is different now. He's not fully inside it anymore. Part of him is watching, questioning, if this isn't the only way, what is? So he starts quietly, not publicly, not confidently, just privately, at night, after work, in hours no one sees. He begins learning money, systems, things that were never explained before. At first, it's overwhelming, like stepping into something you don't understand. Everyone seems ahead. And for a moment, you feel behind, but you keep going because stopping would mean going back. And going back doesn't feel possible anymore. Daniel tries something small, uncertain. It fails. No results. No progress. So he tries again. Same outcome. Nothing. And this is the part nobody shows. No wins. No proof. Just effort. Going nowhere. Work during the day. Attempts at night. Days start blending together. And slowly, doubt shows up. Quiet. Persistent. What if this doesn't work? What if I'm wasting time? Because most people stop here. Not because they're lazy. Because this stage gives you nothing back. No validation. No sign you're improving. Just repetition. And that's what makes it hard. Daniel starts to feel the distance between him and everyone else. Friends, relax. Live normally. And he's somewhere else, working on something invisible. Something no one understands. So he stops explaining. Because every conversation turns into doubt. Why not focus on your job? Is this even going anywhere? From the outside, they're right. It looks like nothing. And that's what makes this level dangerous. Because it feels like nothing. Like you're stuck between two worlds. The one you're trying to leave and the one you haven't reached yet. And for a moment, you think about stopping, going back, but you can't. Because something already changed. The version of you that accepted everything is gone. So you keep going. Not because you're certain. Because stopping feels worse. Level 4. The first proof, it doesn't feel like success. That's the first thing. There's no big moment. No celebration. No sudden change. Just a number. Daniel almost misses it. It shows up quietly. No announcement. No warning. Just a small result from something he tried. He looks at it once. Then again. Because it doesn't feel real. It's not big. Not impressive. Not life-changing. But it's different. Because this time, it didn't come from hours. He didn't trade time for it. He didn't show up, clock in, and wait. It happened without him being there. And that changes everything. Not the amount, the meaning. Because for the first time, the rule breaks. Time no longer equals money. And once that breaks, you can't go back to believing it ever did. Daniel sits with it longer than he should. Not excited, not emotional, just focused, trying to understand what just happened. Because if this is real, then everything he thought was fixed isn't. And that realization is quiet, but heavy. He doesn't tell anyone. Not yet. Because it's too small to explain, too early to share. And deep down, he knows something important. This isn't success. It's proof. Proof that something else exists. Proof that there's another way. And that proof is more valuable than the money itself. Because now, there's no excuse left. No more maybe. No more what if. It worked. Even if it's small. Even if it's fragile. It's real. And that creates a new problem. Because now, he can see the gap between where he is and where he could be. And that gap is impossible to ignore. So he doubles down. More focus. More time. More effort. Not blindly, but with direction, because now he knows he's not guessing anymore. He's building. And once you reach this level, something shifts permanently. You stop hoping. You start expecting, not results, but progress. And that changes how you move. Because now, you're not trying to escape the system. You're learning how to outgrow it. Level 5. The separation, at first, nothing changes. That's what makes it confusing. Same job, same people, same routine. From the outside, everything looks exactly the same. But inside, something is different. Daniel notices it in small moments. Conversations feel slower, repetitive, predictable. The same topics, the same complaints, the same one-day plans. And for the first time, he's not part of it. Not really. Because while everyone is talking about escaping, he's already trying. And that creates distance. Not dramatic, not obvious, just quiet. He stops explaining what he's doing. Because explaining takes too much energy. And most people don't really want to understand. They want confirmation that their way is still the right way. So when you say something different, it feels like a threat, not to them, to their comfort. So the reactions change. Just be careful. Don't overdo it. Make sure you have something stable. It sounds like concern, and some of it is, but underneath, there's something else. Doubt, not in you, in what you're trying to do. Because if you're right, then they've been wrong, and that's uncomfortable. So they push back, not aggressively, just enough to pull you back into the same mindset. And for a moment, it works. You start questioning yourself again, second guessing, wondering if you're going too far. But then you remember something, that first proof, that moment where it worked. And suddenly, their doubts don't hit the same. Because you've seen something they haven't. And that changes how you listen. So you stop arguing, stop explaining, stop trying to convince anyone. You just move, quietly, focused. And the distance grows between you and the life you used to live. Not because you hate it, because you've outgrown it. And that's the part nobody warns you about. Growth isn't loud. It's isolating. You lose people without anyone leaving. Conversation fade. Connections weaken. Not out of conflict, out of difference. And you feel it. That space, that silence, that shift. But you keep going because now you understand something clearly. This isn't just about money. It's about direction. And once your direction changes, everything else has to adjust. Even if it takes time. Even if it feels uncomfortable. Because staying the same is no longer an option. Level 6. The exit. It doesn't feel like freedom. Not the way you imagined. There's no moment where everything suddenly becomes perfect. No dramatic ending. No instant relief. Just space. Daniel notices it in small ways. Waking up without urgency. Making decisions without asking. Saying no without consequences. Time starts to feel different. Not something you chase. Something you control. And that's when it hits him. The system didn't disappear. It's still there. Same structure. Same rules. Same path most people are still following. The difference is, he's no longer dependent on it. And that changes everything. Because the system only works when you need it. When your survival depends on it. When your time is the only thing you can trade. But once you build something outside of it, even something small, you create distance. And that distance becomes freedom. Not complete. Not perfect. But real. Daniel doesn't feel lucky. He doesn't feel special. He just sees clearly now. The system was never designed to make you free. It was designed to keep things stable, predictable, controlled. And for most people, that's enough. But once you've seen beyond it, you can't go back to not knowing. You can participate. You can use it. But you can't depend on it the same way again. And that's the shift. Not escaping completely. Outgrowing dependency. Because real freedom isn't about leaving everything behind. It's about having a choice. To work or not. To follow or build. To stay or move. And for the first time, Daniel has that choice. Not because someone gave it to him. Because he built it. Piece by piece. Quietly. Without permission. And now, there's only one question left. Not for him. For you. You've seen the system. You understand the levels. You know where you are. So what happens next? Do you stay inside it? Because it's familiar? Or do you start building something outside of it? Even if it's uncertain? Because the truth is simple. Nothing changes until you do. If you enjoyed this video, and want to see what most people never notice, subscribe.